righty. Great evening, everyone. Great evening, everyone. This is DeCarlo Marcus. I am the senior servant, the senior leader here at Freedom Church of Albany, located in the Good Life City, the made-over city of Albany, Georgia. Thank you so much for connecting with us and joining with us on tonight for Tuesday night talks where we are relevant, we are real, and we are engaging. Listen, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time out in your busy evening to connect with us and to hear this conversation that we're about to have. So you already know how we do. I need you to number one, be a tech evangelist for me real quickly. So I need you to do something for me. Slide on over to that share button and press that share button because I promise you, man, listen, I say this a lot and some of y'all think I'll be lying to you, but I promise you, on tonight, this is a conversation that I promise you is going to be real, it's going to be authentic, and this is a conversation that I believe is going to be life-changing, all right? So listen, I need you to press that share button. Every person that knows a male, I'm talking my son, I'm talking my uncle, I'm talking about Junebug that get drunk at the barbecue, I'm talking about Lily who be trying to sleep with their cousins, I'm talking about all of them. Y'all know how we do it in our context, okay? I need you to share this broadcast with them because we're about to get live, we're about to get real, and we're about to get relevant into this conversation, okay? All right, so now before I get into this conversation, I want to do something real quickly. We did not announce it on Sunday, but I want to make sure that I put it out there now. We are having a soft opening once again on Sunday. Listen, we're getting that much more closer to opening our doors here at Freedom Church of Albany. I cannot wait to reconnect with my Freedom family. I am so excited to do that. But we're putting things in place to make sure that we are optimizing safety. So until then, we are having another soft opening on this Sunday. This Sunday, 9 a.m., I need you to go ahead and go to the website ASAP and go ahead and reserve your spot. Make sure that your cousin got their spot, your uncle got his spot, because this Sunday is going to be live. We're going to be here. The ministers are going to be here. The worship team is going to be here. The leaders are going to be here. We're going to be live, and we're going to be engaging in our worship service on Sunday morning. So go ahead and make sure that you RSVP, all right? All right, cool. Now, let's get to the matter at hand, all right? Listen, I am excited because this conversation, we have been dealing with conversations about men all month. We've dealt with some very, very engaging topics, and we've had some great conversations. But this conversation tonight, I have been looking forward to for a long time. This person is a very, very good friend of mine. He is my bro. He is really the first person that we actually had on Freedom Talks before we even called it Freedom Talks. He was just accompanying a person that we had on our Bible study on one evening, and we talked about the topic of prayer. But we're going to talk about something that I think is going to be very engaging, I think is going to be life-changing, and I think is going to be a conversation that I believe is going to bring a lot of healing and restoration to the hearts and minds of people, okay? All right, so he's always behind the scenes, but you do see him on Sunday mornings on the pre-show and after the worship team does what they do. So I'm going to welcome to Freedom Talks, Tuesday Night Talks, my brother, my ace, bruh, Kirby Love. What's up, brother?
What's up, brother?
What's going on with you, man?
Man, all is well.
That's what's up.
The trip was lovely. We made it here safe and sound. Glad to be here.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Listen, a lot of people don't know this about you, but you are quiet. They don't know that about you because they see you on the pre-show and you be lit.
Yeah,
but you're really a quiet individual, man.
Yeah. I got to know you to talk to you like that. If I don't know you like that, then I'm observant of your spirit. Your spirit got to be right.
Hey, the spirit got to be right. Your spirit got to be right.
Spirit got to be right. That's an inside joke, right?
That's an inside joke. That's an inside joke. That's an inside joke. If your spirit ain't right, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, man. So what's going on in your life, man? What's going on in your life at this particular moment? Before we get into the actual factuals of this conversation, what's going on with Kirby right now?
Man, just trying to stay balanced, really.
Absolutely.
Just trying to stay balanced, as you know. We talk all the time. It's always movement with this and that.
Yeah.
So really just trying to maintain balance in my life so I don't get too far one way or another. Because I am a person who can kind of get sidetracked sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I lose focus about one thing, and then I say, you know what, let me just go and do this.
Yeah.
And then by the time I'm halfway through that, I go back to the other stuff that I was working on. And, you know, really it just puts you in a place where you kind of teeter-totter all the time, never completing things. So that's really where I am right now, just trying to find a balance right now, settle down.
That's what's up, man. Listen, I know that you're a busy person. I mean, we talk all the time. You got shoots that you're doing. You got website that you're building. You got graphics that you're doing. You got investments that you're making.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And we actually just got through. You just got through a couple of weeks ago with the 10 days of prayer.
Yes.
That was a campaign that was on Facebook. How did that campaign go overall?
Overall, it was great. A lot of stuff the people probably won't see because I had created a group with people who wanted to be involved with the 10 days of prayer. So there were a lot of prayer requests. There were a lot of testimonies that came through those 10 days of prayer. And it blessed a lot of people. And they're actually still being shared right now. So I thank God for those 10 days of prayer.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, if you want to be a part of that group, I think what's the name of the group on Facebook, Kirby?
Led by Christ.
Led by Christ, all right? Led by Christ. If you are not a part of that group, I need you to go ahead and make sure, look that group up on Facebook, ask to join that group, because then you will be a part of the prayer group. We share testimony, we share prayer requests and all those things, all right? So listen. Now, let's get into this, man, because this is stuff that we talk about all the time, man. It's going to get juicy up in here. So this is what we talk about all the time, man. We as young men, we're trying to do so many different things, and with this month being the focal point of what we want to focus on in manhood and fatherhood and stuff of that nature, I feel like it would be good for me to bring you in and just have this conversation about what it means to be a man from your perspective, what it means to be a father from your perspective. We have a lot of similar backgrounds in a lot of the things that we've experienced, and so I wanted to bring the world into this conversation because we have some conversation that sometimes I get off the phone and I be shedding tears, man. It's intense. It's intense, man. So let's get into it. So now, let's talk about this, man. Before we even get into the whole fatherhood aspect of all things, let's get to manhood. Let's just talk about manhood. There are so many different images. There are so many different ideologies and perspectives about what we think manhood is. Society has their perspective. The church has their perspective. Then your family got their perspective. Just talk to the people. Talk to me. Give me your perspective about what do you think manhood is all about.
Well, as boys and men, usually growing up, once you reach a certain age, then they automatically put you in a certain category of now you're a man.
Right.
But for me, what I believe manhood is whenever you're able to get to a place where you're able to accept the responsibility.
Right.
And be accountable to the actions and decisions that you make in life.
That's good.
That's when you enter manhood.
That's good.
If you're not able to hold yourself accountable and take responsibility or hold yourself accountable to the things that you do, the things that you say, if you're not responsible, then you have not entered manhood yet.
That's good.
So there's a need of continuous of teaching of what manhood is, what it means to be a man. And we see even today where there are certain boys that are still at home.
That's good, man. That's good.
They're still at home. But they're 20, 21, 22. So that alone should put us in a place where we say, well, we can't say that they've entered manhood.
Right.
Because they're still not able to take accountability and be responsible and take on different things as a man.
Absolutely.
And that is my perspective of what manhood is.
Absolutely. So basically, you just summarized it to say that manhood is about responsibility. So let's talk about this, because this is something that's been floating around in society for a minute, man. And depending upon what side of the fence you're on, your answer will come from that. Does manhood connect to finances? Let's just deal with that, because I think that there are a lot of different people who believe that if your pockets ain't where it need to be, then you ain't ready. But if your pockets are where they need to be, then you're ready. There's a societal understanding. There is a womanhood understanding. Let's just be real. The ladies You know, I don't want to speak for the lady because I don't want to get counseled on my own show.
Yeah,
but
they watching.
Right, they watching. The streets is watching right now, so I don't want to get counseled. But from your perspective, man, does money, does income, does that equate to levels in manhood? Or does manhood not have anything to do with resources at all?
I think it's kind of a two-part thing.
Okay.
I think some of it may have to do with finances, but then again, it just goes back to responsibility.
Right.
You know, because there are some men who have finances, but they're not responsible. You know, they don't know how to manage money. They don't know how to take care of the things that need to take care of first. They'll go out and buy X, Y, and Z. Absolutely. Meanwhile, the things over here that are necessary, that they're responsible for, that they're supposed to be held accountable for, is not being taken care of.
Right. That's good.
So I think, like I said, it depends on what side of the fence you're on, depends on where you are. You may have different perspectives, but I think it's both ways. I think it does tie in a little bit, but for the most part, I really don't put finances into manhood like that.
That's good.
I think the mindset has to be where you get to a place where you say, I'm responsible enough as a man to do what I need to do for myself.
That's good. That's good.
Whenever you're able to hold yourself accountable and stand on your own 2 feet as a man, and some people call it, you got to get out and test the waters a little bit. You got to be able to see and experience certain things.
Right.
And sometimes experience can be the best teacher.
That's true.
And I think that's part of where I would go for is the whole manhood with finances and things like that.
I think that's good, man, because one of the things that you just tapped into was combining responsibility with finances. I think that regardless of how much you make, regardless of how your pockets are, if you're not responsible, it's not going to work for you.
Right.
If you're not responsible with your resources. So we can make high 5 figures, low 6 figures, middle 6 figures, whatever your number is. But if you're not responsible with it, then it still puts you in a position where you're not executing levels of mature, responsible decision making.
Absolutely. Because what happened is you'll see men begin to venture off into new things or other things, even relationships, because they have money. But then there's always a long road to what happens behind that.
Right.
This is why a lot of their relationships don't last. This is why a lot of other things don't come into place. And what happens is you begin to, and we'll get into more of this later, but then you get into the whole fornication side where you're sleeping around, but for the whole time, you have not been responsible and mature enough to even deal with A, B, and C, and now you all the way at EFG somewhere, and you got to retract all the way back. It's going to come back and hunt you in the end. So you have to be able to be responsible.
That's right.
Be mature before you can start taking on those other avenues.
That's good, man. That's good. And I think that understanding leads us right into, I think, the meat of what we're about to talk about now. So listen, y'all, we finna get... This is not for the babies. I promise you, what we're about to talk about now is not for the babies, all right? So now, let's talk about this. I want to talk about fatherhood. Man, there's so many different directions I could go into this. But from just the general perspective of fatherhood, like, what are the variables? What are the elements that, for you, makes a good father?
In short, I would say one who assumes the position of taking care of the children that they're responsible for taking care of.
That's good.
Now, this is, and I just say children because every household may not have that father, so to say, but there may be a male that steps in and carries that assignment or that role for that individual, for that child, or for those children. Right. So in short, that's what I would summarize fatherhood in.
That's good. And you know, I think that's a to me, I think that we have to be more clear in defining fatherhood, because depending upon who you talk to. So, like, for example, there was a long time where my perspective of fatherhood was to be not like what I saw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like, I don't want to be like what I saw.
Right.
And it's no like stone throwing at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up in a household when my father was not there, and so there were inconsistencies, and there were promises made that were not kept, and you know, all those different types of things. And so what I did not want to do was grow up into a man and then be what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I was of the mindset that fatherhood had to be the total opposite of what I saw.
Yeah.
It could not be connected to anything that I was a part of, because growing up, you know, having the little league basketball games, going through problems at school, you know, coming home, being joked on, like, okay, who do I go to? You know, and it's like, I'm looking at my mom, and mom is kind of like carrying like a weight on her already, because she's running the household by herself.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, okay, who I'm gonna talk to?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Who I'm gonna talk to? And so, you know, from that type of I guess adolescent period, and then me kind of processing things the way that I process things, I was like, you know what? I want to be the total opposite of everything that I've seen.
Absolutely.
You know, I want to be the total opposite of that.
Yeah. And sometimes I think this is going to be part of our later discussion, is how fatherhood, or how we grow up, how did it impact us now?
Yeah,
what we are now.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I just want to go back to the brief description of what I said. Fatherhood is basically meeting the needs. Someone who is meeting the needs of a child or children.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's got to be your dad.
That's
Doesn't
good.
mean that it has to be.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it could be your dad.
Absolutely.
But if the needs are not met, now the needs, what we think fatherhood is, sometimes because depending on what culture that you come from, depending on where you are, what we think fatherhood is I bought the food and put it on the table.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we leave it at that. Well, I fed you. I've been feeding you. You know, I gave you $5 every week.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the needs of a child, it goes beyond feeding the belly.
Absolutely.
We're talking about emotional needs. We're talking about mental needs. We're talking about other things that have to be met. We're talking about conversations that have to be had.
Yes.
But when that father is not meeting those needs, when he's not there, and those things are not being taken care of, then we don't have the fatherhood or the father figure that we need as young boys.
That's good.
Right? And that affects us as we get older.
Yep.
Like you just said, because now I didn't have all of that, so I'm going to be the total opposite of what I've seen.
Yep.
But what it does reveal is that you have taken the things that you have learned from that. So it's not always bad that we don't have those things.
Yeah.
And sometimes, before I get into this other point, sometimes our fathers don't know.
That's good, man. That's good.
And we can't hold them so much accountable for what they don't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, on the other side, if you do know and you didn't do what you were supposed to do, I ain't going to say what I would say, but if we was off here, now that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But some of them don't know.
Yeah.
Some of them didn't have, some of them, we basically go through the same cycle that they went through.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because one of the things, and I'm going to say it again, because y'all know I'm a pastoral pastor. So I'm not castigating any judgment on any father or even my father because of what was taking place. But one of the things that I internalized was, I'm at the basketball game. I'm playing for Magnolia Elementary School. You know, I'm hooping. And then after the game is over, I see Chris go run to his dad, and I see Brandon run to his dad. And I'm like, hey, man, what is this? You know what I'm saying? And then, though, but to even go a bit further, even the games that he did make, there was still, you know, in my mind, there was that lacking, because, okay, I came to the game, we went to McDonald's, we got the cheeseburger, we got the Happy Meal, but now I'm going home, and I don't feel good about my performance. Now who do I talk to? You know what I'm saying? So I think what we're talking about is putting ourselves in a position by which we understand fatherhood as being present.
Absolutely.
And not just being present physically, but like literally being present. Like in the moment, like being there and actively engaged and involved in the lives of your children.
Yes.
Because we all have different strengths as men. You know, we all have different strengths. Some of us are talkers.
Yeah.
Some of us are athletic.
Yeah.
Some of us can go and beat the dude up, who fought the dude's son, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That ain't me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look like, hey, let's shake this out. Let's hook this out and be through.
Right.
But I mean, even in the process of having strength, I think sometimes we remove the thought process of understanding that when you have children that grow up in that 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 year range, and they're watching cartoons and they're watching movies, they identify with heroes.
Yes.
And that hero is that dude who, when everything is wrong, has the ability to come in and make it right.
Yeah. Like,
regardless of what happened. I don't care if Thanos done snapped his fingers and the whole world is gone.
Yeah.
Like, it's just powerful to know that eventually, some kind of way Iron Man gonna figure this out. Captain America gonna figure this out. And we're gonna get our life back together.
Yeah, yeah.
So as a child watching those types of movies or cartoons, it's like, that's what I want. I want someone here to make it right when it's wrong. And so a lot of the times, I think from a fatherhood perspective, being present, a lot of the times, is sometimes you may not make the 6 figures. You may not be able to put them in the best neighborhood initially. But I think the most important thing is being there to make things right when they go wrong.
Absolutely. And I mentioned this in a recent video when I said he teaches me how to father by how he fathers me.
Yes, I want to talk about that, yes.
So there's some few things that the Lord revealed in that. And one of the things that I believe I talked about in that video was exactly what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to be present, but it's another thing to be active. Mm-hmm. So when I look at the Father in my life, I look at he's not just present in my life, but he's active.
Yes.
So
yes.
As boys and growing up, it's one thing to say, my dad was there, but how many conversations have we had?
Yeah, that's good.
How many games have you been to?
That's good.
How many times he say, hey son, let's go out here. You know what I'm saying? He's actively concerned about my emotional needs, my physical needs, my health, all these different things. He's actively involved in that.
Absolutely.
So when you're just present, it's like you live in the same house, but you never talk. You imagine having, imagine being married, which we both are married. Yeah. You live in the same house, but you never talk.
Never talk to each other.
You never go on dates.
Right.
You never have sit-down movie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's no activity there.
Yeah, that's it.
There's no activity there. It's just present. We just here.
That's it, yeah.
So what that does is it puts you in a place where we don't have a growing relationship.
That's good, man. That's good.
So we have to be not just present as fathers, but we need to be active.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about, like I said, just I gave you some food, here you go, y'all go sit down. Like actively engage. Actively engage.
Right.
Play with them. Talk with them. They need all of that.
Yes, sir.
Because by the time a child is about 6, they going to remember everything.
Absolutely.
And what my daddy did, like you said, because I got boys, and I know my boys look up to me. But as they get older, they're going to start saying, man, my dad never said he loved me. I never. I'm looking at, like you said, Chris, and I'm looking at Jermaine, and they just like, man,
it's real. It's real.
So those are things that, as fathers, that we have to be considerate of with our young boys even now.
That's good, man. That's good.
So just to go back, like I said, you have to be present and active, not just present.
Not just present.
Not just present.
Because being present and not being active is actually sometimes more damaging.
Yes.
Because I'm like, okay, you're here, but we ain't doing nothing. You're here, but we're not talking. You're here, but I can't depend upon you. And going back to that superhero concept, it's all about knowing that, okay, if I had a bad day at school, or if I didn't do well academically, or one of my friends hurt my feelings, it's like, okay, I want to be able to come home and know, hey, dad got it. You know what I'm saying? It's mother gonna nurture me that way, but dad gonna make me feel strong.
Absolutely.
Like he gonna be like, yeah, let's go, and I can do that. And I think that is the call for many men, even now, to come to the realization of understanding. For all of the fathers who are doing that, absolute kudos.
Yes.
It's about being active.
Being active.
It's about being active. So now, let's talk about this, man, because now we're going to continue on this vein. Well, let me pause. Is this helping anyone already? This helping y'all already? Like, we finna get, like, this just the surface level now. We finna, if you start crying, it's okay, because we finna get into some some deep stuff in a few seconds. So, listen, share this. Make sure that you're releasing this, because we want to make sure that every person who needs to hear this is involved, okay? So now, let me talk to you about this, man, because I want to, one of the things that we already piggybacked on is like the things that I went through, the things that you may have experienced in your childhood. I've already highlighted the fact that my father was not in the house. And so my mindset was like nurtured, and my image of what a father was supposed to be was built around the conceptualization that I just want to be what I did not see.
Yeah.
I want to be different from that. So how does your experiences as a child growing up influence how you father your children today? And there's so many different directions I can go in with that. So I'm going to let you give the base revelation that you want to give, and then we're going to go down some roads with that.
How does
what you experienced as a child affect how you father your children today?
Well, I think just some of the same things that you said.
Yeah.
I say I want to be opposite, or I want to emulate some of the things that I didn't have.
Yeah.
But growing up, there are a lot of missing parts that I still don't know how to do.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
So now that's affected me as a father.
Yeah.
But thankfully I know Christ, and now he's teaching me. Like I said, now he's teaching me how to father. But one of the ways, I think one of the ways that I was affected growing from a youth to now being a father is by not knowing how to communicate.
Wow.
Not knowing how to communicate to my children, not knowing how to just have those sit downs and things. So that's an area that I've really been having to grow in, especially having a daughter and sons.
Yeah. That's tough, man.
Because the communication is different.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I've kind of struggled with, but I've been able to start growing in that as a father now.
That's good, man. I think, because that daughter thing is, hey, I'm praying for you, brother, because I ain't got one. So, and I understand that it's different. The whole aspect of how you father, it takes on a different role when that daughter is in the house. So a lot of the pains and a lot of the feelings that you had as an adolescent, that daughter may have those same feelings, but she processes them totally different. She may analyze those things from a totally different perspective. So briefly, because I'm going to go down one road, but before I go down this road, briefly, like, man, fathering a daughter, man, like in today's society, like, how does that, man, talk to me. Please, help me.
It's difficult, man.
I know.
It's difficult.
I know.
Especially, as you say, in today's society.
Yeah.
The access to just the internet alone,
man,
can open up so many doors to so many different things.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And as a father, we always just natural instincts guard the daughter a little bit more harder than we do the boys.
I wonder why is that though? Like, why is that? Like,
I don't know. You got to help me, because I may need some deliverance. But and we're gonna get into this too, though, because I don't want to go down that road yet. But I think just because because we don't want our daughters to be hurt.
That's good, man.
See what I'm saying?
That's
and
good.
Their hurt can come through so many different ways.
Yeah.
This is before dating.
Yeah.
This is before dating. So do I be sentimental now? Do I be hard now? Do I just say, okay, maybe she'll figure it out? You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of different avenues with daughters that I don't always have to go down with my boys.
Gotcha.
See what I'm saying? We know with boys we can be a little bit more stern with them.
Yeah.
We can be a little bit more aggressive with them. Not so much from the standpoint of just trying to make them tough, because I think also that one thing that that the world has put in the forefront is that fatherhood is about being tough.
Yeah,
and that's not always the case.
I was about to say that, man, because like, not having, that consistent male role model in my life, or the male role model that I did have, there were just certain things I didn't learn from them. Yeah. So like, I'm trying to figure out what it means to be a man. And I'm looking at all the images on TV, and I'm like, man, I ain't no man because I can't change no tire.
Yeah.
Like, how I'm going to be a father, man? I can't even change no tire. Like, if we on the side of the road, we all messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we literally going to have to pray to figure out, how to get off the side of the road. Because those things, through my exposure to movies and to other aspects in media, those are the things that were portrayed to me as you got to be when you a dad, this is what you do.
This is what
you change tires, you paint the house,
yeah.
you fix the sink. And I'm growing up, and I don't even know what no wrench is.
Right.
I'm like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is a wrench? What is a washer? Like, I ain't talking about a washing machine, but I'm talking about a washer.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what is a washer? So those things were not given to me. So as I'm growing up, I'm like, oh man, dude, this is not. Because this is a secret about me, and I think my wife knows it. I pray she know it, and she don't. She finna find out now. But one of the things that was like so like compelling for me was when I was growing up. I didn't have those things. I had people that God filled in my life, but I still felt levels of inadequacy. Yeah. So this is what I did. I told my wife, I was like, we're gonna plan our parenthood. And what that meant was we're going to enjoy our life, we're going to live life, and then we're going to have children later on. Yeah. But little did she know on the surface that internally, I didn't want to have a child because I was afraid I was going to mess up. Does that make sense? Like, I was afraid that I was going to mess up because the image that I saw, it wasn't right.
It wasn't right.
And then, like me coming into this place of knowing that I'm with a woman, we're in love, we booed up, she's ready for a child. But like now, I'm nervous because I don't know. Because here was the last thing I did. I did not want to do what was done to me.
Absolutely.
So because of that, I was like, okay, Father, get me ready. Okay, Father, get me to this place of understanding. Okay? Because I didn't want to put myself in a position where we gave birth to this child, and whether it was a daughter, whether it was a son, and I didn't know what to do because the image of what fatherhood was to me, I didn't have that.
You didn't have that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So for you, how did you come to the place of overcoming, if you had any fear, because you Rambo, you a silent killer out here in these streets.
No.
But were there fears about fatherhood, and if so, how did you overcome those fears?
I wouldn't say that I had fears.
Okay.
Because unlike you, your parenthood was planned.
Yeah,
mine started at 17.
Yeah.
So as like a young kid in high school, the day I was graduating high school, my oldest son was turning 1 year old.
Right.
So I mean, I was barely in manhood, which we
just
talked
about that.
So not even mature enough, or not really able to, be as responsible. But I did have my father in the house, and one thing my dad always did was he made sure what needed to be taken care of was taken care of,
right.
And we were priority.
Right.
So I did know that I got to take care of this child.
Yeah.
So it came some early decisions that I had to make at 17, 18, which led me to the military.
Right.
And as I went into the military, I really didn't get a chance to learn about being a father then because I was still distant from my oldest son. So it wasn't until I had my daughter when I really started having to kind of figure fatherhood out. How's this thing supposed to be? Although I had, like I said, my dad, there were still certain things that I didn't have.
Absolutely.
There were still certain conversations that I didn't have. One thing my dad told me was, when I found out I was getting ready to have a son.
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to have to take care of it.
Yeah.
And the words was, my daddy told me I got to do this, or you got to do your, you know what I'm saying? It was like,
right.
I ain't going to help you now. So
yeah,
that was a little bit of, I guess, lack of guidance in that.
Mm-hmm.
But once my daughter came, I just had to kind of go through the process of, okay, what is this like?
Right.
Waking up late, getting up early. Mind you now, this is military life where everything is fast paced.
Yeah.
For me anyway. So it was difficult. I won't say I had a fear, but it was difficult because I had no starting place, if you will.
I feel you. I do.
I had no starting place. I had nothing that I can say, okay, I need to do this, and this. It was me just kind of just going with the flow.
Wow.
And then at the same time, I wasn't even saved and had no knowledge of Christ like that.
Right.
So I was, like you said, Rambo, but I was Rambo on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So I had to learn a lot fast. I had to learn a lot fast.
Gotcha.
And I think, but when I did give my life to Christ, that's when I really started to get it. That's when I really started to understand the importance of and the necessity of me being in the house and leading the way that I need to lead and being the father that I needed to be.
That's good, man. That's good. I think that piece that you talked about as far as connecting with Christ. And everybody know I don't like being churchy, so I'm not talking about being churchy. But connecting with Christ and beginning that relationship with Him, that number one begins to deal with a lot of the inadequacies that you do have. And once you conquer those inadequacies, then there are levels of confidence that you can begin to walk through.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that is already established in the realm of parenthood is there's no blueprint. Like, ain't no, like, you know, I mean, even the scriptures give guidelines.
Yeah.
But, you know, the scriptures give guidelines, but the guidelines are not to every single situation. And so that's when you tap into the wisdom of God and learning how He's led you through your tumultuous situations. You apply those same principles to how you lead your children out of those situations. So now let's go down this route. Let's go down this route because one of the things that we like to do as fathers is be protectors. That's what we want to do. That's, at the end of the day, I don't want my child to I don't want to get into no fight. I don't want him to do anything that's going to harm them in any capacity. You know, when I drop them off to school, I'm praying, God cover them, God keep them. I want God to keep them from the ants. I want God to keep them from everything. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I'm just, I just want to ensure, and a lot of that comes from because I didn't have that.
Yeah.
So I'm overprotective. I'm overguarding when it comes to my children. So this is where I think a lot of the times we as men may struggle. Depending upon, you may be saved and be delivered from this. But in dealing with your failures, in dealing with the hang-ups, because most people would think, going back to your statement earlier, having a child, you coming out of high school, like, okay, man, that dude, you're going to be a bum. You know, that's the failure conceptualization that they may try to put on you. That's a failure thought that they may try to put on you. So, like, as a father, though, like, you want to protect your children at all costs.
Yeah.
Sometimes that means we ignorantly protect them from our failures. And so it's like when you protect them from your failures, it's almost as if you may be giving them a false image of who you are because they don't see the dad that fails. They just always see the dad that succeeds. So how do you as a father, man, like what is your thought process in exposing your children to your failures? Because one of the things that we know, failures have helped us. You know, failures have given us insight, wisdom, etc. But I think that there's a line, and I'm gonna let you say something to this, because I think that there's a line that sometimes is very, very thin that we cross. Because on one end, I don't want to expose my children to my failures because I don't want them to think of me differently. Mm-hmm. On the other end, I want to expose them to my failures because I need for them to understand that life is not perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
So how do you balance that? Like, what's your thought process of exposing your children to your failures, and then when you do expose them to your failures, what's your methodology behind that?
Well, number one, I think everything has time. It's timing.
Yeah.
Of when you do those things. So
That's
now
good.
at my oldest son's now 14. Mm-hmm. He actually had asked me, Dad, what happened between you and Mom? You know.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let's have the conversation.
Let's get it.
Let's talk.
You're right.
Because in one mindset, you could say, okay, yeah, that was a failure.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you could say, okay, I was just immature.
Yeah.
So how do I teach them that Dad was immature? Dad made mistakes. Mm-hmm. Dad is not perfect. Mm-hmm. Dad's still growing. Mm-hmm. I just sit down and have those conversations.
Right.
And sometimes they are tough conversations.
Right.
That you have to have. But I think in the right timing, meaning I think there is an age limit where you have certain conversations.
Got you.
Certain conversations.
Right.
And once they get to that age, then say, okay, listen, I want to talk to you about this. Mm-hmm. And I think everything starts with communication.
Yeah.
If you know how to communicate with your children, what it also does is it opens the door for them to come to you about anything.
That's good, man. That's so good.
But if you don't communicate with them, then what it does is prevents them from coming to you because Dad's always right, Dad's always perfect, do everything right. So if I go to him now, he gonna go off on me because he always got everything right. You see what I'm saying? And I don't want that image I don't want them to have a false image of who I am.
That's good,
like I
man.
got everything right. So at the right timing, I have the hard conversations that need to be had so that they can say, okay, boom. And then what I want them to be able to do is ask questions from based on our conversation we just had. Ask me questions so I can now give you guidance.
That's good.
That's what fathers do.
That's good.
Meeting the needs of children or a child like you're supposed to do.
Absolutely. I love that, man. That's a great response. Was that, man, listen, press them hard. I'm going to press them hard. Shoot, I'm pressing them hard. That was a good response. That was a powerful response. I love that because, I mean, the wisdom piece is so necessary. So let's go back to the hero. If Caleb grows up and Caleb sees me as Iron Man, I'm the one that always makes things right. But if I'm never vulnerable before him, if I never show him that I've messed up, then what happens is when he messes up, I'm not his hero. I'm his villain.
Yes.
Because now I'm the one that he's going to run away from.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't feel confident enough to come and tell me, Daddy, I messed up.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I think we have to learn how to do, me and my wife have this conversation all the time, in discipline our children, even when they're wrong, you want to create a space where they feel comfortable telling you, hey, I was the one that pulled all the tissue off the road. Yeah. It starts small. I mean, it really starts small. Yeah. And we don't look at it from that context, but it starts very, very small. Like, yeah, I was the one that put the toothbrushes in the toilet and tried to flush them down. Right. That was me. I did that. Right. Because here's the thing that I've learned in being in that situation. Me as a son, relating to my father and relating to different people that God has brought in my life, mentors, etc. Here's what, if I don't tell my father, I'm going to tell somebody. And when I tell someone, that person, that individual that shows me love, that's going to be the one that I run to. That's going to be the one that I go to every single time to get something that I need, which is, wisdom, which is redirection, which is affirmation. One of the things that I think sometimes we skip over as fathers is that we don't understand the power of reaffirmation when a child fails. Yes. Like, you have to know that you still are my son even though you failed. And I have to reaffirm that. Even after disciplining you, I have to reaffirm that. Because if I don't reaffirm that, I leave you as an orphan after your failures. Yes. And you're going to then cleave to that thing or that individual that now owns you as even as you messed up.
Yeah.
So, man, it's tough though, man, because like for me, you know, I'm like everybody know me. I'm an open book, man.
Yeah, yeah.
My life is an open book. It's hard because like I want my children to fail, but I don't want them to fail to the point where they don't feel confident anymore. You understand what I'm saying to you? And it's hard because like talking to a child is like totally different than like talking to an adult. Like talking to a child is like, man, you gotta talk to the child, and it's like, okay, like son, you got it. Like son, like my son is 6, so like he's like when he get mad, and he failed, and then like it takes me seem like forever. Like son, it's okay.
Yeah.
But because they're so driven, school is driven by success.
Yeah.
Society is driven by success, and when they don't succeed, it's almost as if even though I have not said that they failed me, it's already conditioned in their mind to believe like I failed. I failed. So how do you protect your children from failures? Like, do you try to keep them from failing?
I don't keep them from failing. What I try to do is use the mistakes as teaching moments, teaching opportunities.
Makes sense.
Every mistake is an opportunity to teach.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
If you did this, come here, let's sit down, let's talk.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you have to also teach problem solving.
That's good. That's so good.
Problem solving.
Elaborate on that for me.
Because if every time a child does something, the immediate reaction from the father is, I'm about to get on to you. Go get my belt. Come here. Let me spank you on the butt. Then now that's when you have put it. Now they're afraid to fail.
Yeah.
They're afraid to do anything.
Yes. Yes.
So even if you say, go get me a glass of water.
Yep.
They timid to get a glass of water because they're already thinking of dropping the glass.
Wow. Pre-programmed to fail.
Pre-programmed to fail.
Wow.
That's not what we want to do. If they do drop the glass, let's have a conversation. Let's talk. How did you drop the glass? Okay, what are some things that you could have done to keep you from dropping the glass? Help them to begin to think about exactly what they did so that they can begin to learn from it now.
That's good,
Instead of waiting until they've done it 10 times and
Yep.
all you did was nail them,
Yep.
and then the 11th time they do it,
Yep.
they're rebellious, they don't want to talk to you. And
Yep.
another thing that you do when you do that is you keep a child from learning how to express themselves.
Wow. 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 That's good, man. And you know what's so crazy? Because you work into like, oh my goodness, man, this I'm gonna go down this direction. Let's go. So like when you're in corporate America, you're working, whether you got your own business or you're working for an organization, you're doing things, everything is driven by task.
Yeah.
Do this, and if you don't do this, why didn't you do it? And why was this not successful? And because this was not successful, let me write you up. Or let me do this, let me do that. So it's always going like doom. But then when it comes to my child, like I can't have that same mentality. Because if I take that same mentality and put it upon my child, then the relationship becomes a performance-based relationship.
Yes.
And the only time that child feels like I am accepted of them is when they get it right. If they mess up, then it's like, oh man, I can't do this, or I can't go to daddy, or I don't, and the confidence is like warped. The confidence is warped. So like, man,
This is, if I could interrupt real
please.
quick. This is because, like I said, I believe the world has made fathering and manhood as a tough thing.
Yeah.
We have to be on 10 every time
all
we do
day.
something.
Yeah.
You cannot grow anybody being on 10 all the time. And when I say being on 10, this means that you are always aggressive at everything that they're doing. So whether this is teaching your children, whether this is running a business and having people work for you, guess what they're going to do?
They're going to leave.
They're going to leave.
They're going to leave. And you know why they do that? Because we think that being a boss is being aggressive. Being leadership I got to be doggish.
Yes.
And that's not the case.
It's not the case.
Because one of the things that I love about, there was this mentor that I'm listening to that talks about businesses, and I think it relates to children. People don't quit businesses. They don't quit organizations. They quit on leadership.
Yes.
That's what they quit on.
Yes.
People don't leave jobs primarily because of the quote-unquote job. They normally leave because of the environment and the culture that is created by that leader in that job. So if you're talking about a person being bossy or aggressive or on 10 all the time, if that's the mentality that we carry on with our children, our children quit on us even though they're living in the same house.
Yes. And then it's a do as I say, not as I do.
Man, wow.
I think that's one of the most unrealistic, however you want to put it, one thing we should never tell our children. If you're not, I want my kids to do as I do.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm a leader.
That's good. That's so good.
If you're not a leader, you use do as I say, not as I do.
Wow.
You're basically setting your child up to fail.
Yep.
Because you're showing them something opposite of what you want them to do.
Yep.
And that is not, as fathers, which we're talking about, as leaders, as men of our households, this is not how we govern our children.
No, it's not. It's not. And one of the things that I want to, now let's go into the church world a little bit, because this where it be. We get into this church world mindset, and it's spare the rod, sport a child. That's spare the rod, sport a child. Yeah. Or he chastens those that he loves. Yeah. So for whatever reason, that scripture gives us an image of an aggressive, like over-domineering father that like just controls everything that I do. And when I mess up, he on 10. Like, he finna tear my behind up. He finna get it in. He finna whip me with 1,000 stripes. Oh, the Lord did this to me. The Lord did that to me. He broke me. I mean, all these types of conversations that we go through. And because we have been trained to think that that's how the Father deals with us, then what happens is we translate that same modality, that same pattern over to our children. Yes. So we break them. We hurt their feelings. We make them think that it's like, man, you messed up, so I gotta get you because you messed up. Yeah. Not recognizing that one of the most powerful redirective tools is not a belt.
It's not a belt.
It's love.
It's love. And I was waiting on you to get right there. I was waiting on that one. Yeah. I was waiting on that one.
Yeah.
And what happens is, and let's just keep it real, especially in the African American culture.
Yeah.
And we know where this come from.
Yeah, we know where it comes from.
The mentality is beat.
Yep.
Beat.
Yep.
Beat.
Yep.
So we carry that same beat mentality to our adulthood. Once we get kids, and then the first thing we say is, my mama used to do this, or my daddy used to do this. Because you know why? We don't know another way. We don't know another way.
Wow.
All we did is carry out the same thing that they parents did to them.
That's right.
So because they parents did that to them, they do that to us.
That's
and
right.
because our parents did it to us, we do it to our kids.
Yes.
Beat, not realizing, like, listen, there's another way to discipline your children. There's another way to fathering your children.
Absolutely.
There's another way to raising them than what you have learned.
Right, right.
And this is not to say that they don't get that disciplinary action every now and again.
Yes.
But this is not the only disciplinary action that they have to receive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So when we can understand that love is the key, then love will show us how to communicate. Go back to communicating.
Absolutely.
Love will teach us how to communicate.
Right, right.
Love will put us in a place where we can say, you know what? I made that same mistake before.
That's right. That's right.
Sometimes our children are a direct reflection of who we are.
That's good.
Sometimes they do the same things that we did.
Yes, sir.
And we forget that we did that and want to discipline them a different way.
Right. That's good.
Instead of using that opportunity to say, listen, this is why you don't do that.
Right.
This is what happens when you do things like that.
Right, right.
So I'm going to teach you now so that you don't continue to make these things. So as you grow, you don't carry these things into your adulthood, into your teenage things or whatever the case is. But if you don't teach them, sometimes they'll, even with beating them with a belt, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go back and do it again. Because at some point, the belt is going to be like a piece of paper just hitting them on the butt.
Absolutely.
because they're used to that.
They're used to it.
I don't want my kids to get used to beating because they're not slaves.
Right. Say that. Oh my goodness. Say that. Can we listen? I just want to I wish everyone who was black would listen to it.
Yes.
Because it's a real issue, especially in the South. It's a real issue where we use a belt in replace of wisdom.
Yes.
Because we don't know what to say, I whoop you. Because I don't know what to give you, I whoop you. Because I don't know how to show you love, it's easier for me to whoop you rather than me become vulnerable emotionally.
Yes.
And that's a hard part that sometimes we as fathers, because of how we were groomed and how we were raised, sometimes we think that the best method is the strong arm rather than the strong tongue.
Yes.
And we don't deal with that enough. Yes. So I think that for where we're going, I think that especially within the context of raising up African-American males and African-American female children, yes, the world is going to be tough. So if the world's going to be tough, I don't need to be tougher. I need to be loving even the more to prepare them. To prepare them. Because love then creates a buffer that it allows me to endure the afflictions, to endure the beatings that the world's going to give it to me.
Absolutely. And I like the preparing. I like that word preparing.
Yeah. Because
I think as fathers, and this can go for parenting as well, but as fathers, we have to realize and understand what we are raising.
That's good, man.
Who are we preparing? Mm-hmm. Are we preparing an aggressor? Mm-hmm. Are we preparing a leader?
Absolutely.
What are we preparing to go into the world?
Absolutely.
What are we preparing to go and learn how to make friends and all these different things? What are we preparing?
Yeah.
If we don't understand that, then guess what? We're going to fail.
That's good, man.
And we don't where we don't want to fail at is where we're going to fail at because of that.
Wow.
And that's fathering.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We don't want to fail at being a father.
That's right.
Or mothers for mothers who's out there, but we don't want to fail at that.
That's right.
But if we don't understand that we're preparing our children to go on to the next level or to the world or to corporation or whatever the case is, to colleges and things like that.
Right.
If we don't understand that, then when they get there, everything that we thought we taught, we didn't teach.
And I love that because that word preparing basically means that I have a vision for the future.
Yes.
And fathers have to have visions for the future because one of the things that we don't understand about biblical language and biblical naming was when they named their children, their name not only reflected their current situation, but their name reflected their future engagement.
Yes.
Their name reflected their future engagement, and their name always put in the remembrance of the parents. This is what this child is destined to be. This is what this child is destined to do. So one of the things that I think that we have to, as fathers, learn how to do is see them in the future.
Yes.
And begin to, as you just said, prepare them for that moment.
Yes.
Prepare them because it's coming.
Yes.
It's coming like the first heartbreak is coming. The first girl that you walk up to and she say, "Do you ugly, get out of my face," is coming. So we have to prepare our children for that. And preparing our children for that does not mean every time they do something wrong to slap them in the face.
Slap them in the face, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just go ahead.
And my son, my youngest son, 5.
Yeah.
He don't like when people laugh at him. When people laugh, he gets emotional. Daddy, they laughing at me, and I have to sit down like, son, this is going to happen.
Absolutely.
This is going to happen.
Absolutely.
Now, am I going to prepare him for what's going to happen, or am I going to protect him, like what we went to talk about?
Absolutely.
Or am I just going to protect him for this moment?
Right.
I can't say, stop laughing. No, son, listen. This is what's going to happen.
Right.
There are evil people.
Yep.
There are going to be people who don't like you.
Yep.
There are going to be people who are going to talk about you.
Yep.
There are going to be people who ostracize you. There are going to be people who look at you as a young black male and just say, nope, we don't want him. This is going to happen. Son.
Right.
So I use those opportunities to teach these things.
Absolutely.
Because of where they're going.
Right.
Goes back to vision.
Yep.
This is the type of child that I want to raise.
Yep.
not so much of I want them to have tough skin, but I want them to have understanding of what is to come.
That's good, sir. That's good. Now, and I think that we as fathers have to do that. I'm hoping that this conversation is really, really blessing us. Look, it's time for us to go.
Already?
But I mean, I'm talking about for real, bro. I mean, this is what we do. So it's like, you know, we just getting started. You know what I'm saying?
We just getting started. Man.
But listen. So let me ask you this last thing, man, because this is, I think, a real like sensitive issue, and I don't know if it's being addressed enough. So like the mentality now for like men fathers is one of the ways that I protect, one of the ways that I make sure that my children are covered is I provide. And so now, you know, there is like this grinders, builder mentality. I'm out here and I'm grinding. And one of the things I do is I respect that. I'm a builder. I'm a grinder. You know, I get frustrated all the time that, you know, you work too much. You know, even beyond my house, like my administrator, my family, like, you work too much. You need to break. Because that's just, I'm driven to work. I'm driven to produce. I'm driven to put things in place.
Right.
And so from that mentality, one of the things that sometimes you kind of get into this like, I guess, confused state of is how do I create a balance between grinding and being present? You know, how do I do that? Because going back to you are an entrepreneur, you have your business, you know, and you know, you all over the place, making films, taking pictures, you know, doing weddings. I should have not went to college. Here's my confession. I should have never went to college. I should have just learned the art of photography and learned how to do weddings. Cause
everybody doing that.
Cause bro, what these people paying for these weddings, bro? I remember, listen.
Yeah.
On to my 10, 15 G's.
Yeah.
For some pictures.
Yeah.
Bro, if you do about 5 weddings, I can do just like this for the rest of the year.
Straight for the year. Straight for the year.
Man, I'm telling you. But aside from that, from that, I mean, you're grinding, you're building. And so in the process of doing all those things, like, what is like the guideline? What's the wisdom? What's the thought pattern that you have? Because you are a builder, you are a producer, you want to provide, but you also want to be active in the lives of your children. So, like, how does that work for you?
Okay, so let me backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
So, at one point, my main focus, I was present, but I wasn't active. Okay. My main focus was grind.
Right.
And even when I got saved and started evangelizing in the streets and doing other things, I'm going somewhere with this.
Yeah.
I was grinding. I'm going to Atlanta here. I'm going to the mall. I'm going here. And then one time, I heard the Lord clear as day. You doing more there than you're doing in your own home. So, as men and leaders of our home, we cannot use in the name of God.
That's good, man.
To not do.
That's good.
What we're supposed to do in our house.
That's good. That is so good, sir.
So, house is priority. And it's not just my wife. It's my wife and my kids.
Gotcha.
All need my time.
Absolutely.
And I am to serve them.
Absolutely.
Just as much as I want to go out here and serve other people.
Absolutely.
I am to disciple them, just like I want to go out here and disciple other people.
Absolutely.
If you ain't doing it at home first,
right.
Don't try to go out there and go 1,000 and say, I'm doing this in the name of God.
It ain't gonna work.
Take care of your home first.
Absolutely.
Take care of your home first. So to get back to the main question is you have to create balance.
Yes.
Which I talked about from the beginning.
Yes.
Create balance. This time is work time. This time is family time.
Absolutely.
This is start time. This is finish time.
Right.
Anything after this is over with.
Absolutely.
I'm done. I'm committed to my family at this time.
Yes, sir.
At one point, I had a 10-20 thing where I would cut my phone would go out. He noticed because he's wake up like, bro, I text you last night. I said, bro, anything after 10-20, my phone is on what's it called? Do not disturb.
D&D.
At a 10-20, do not disturb.
Yes, sir.
You know, but that 10-20 wasn't the time that I started, you know, family time. But it was just, it's nothing else. That's my definite cutoff time. You call me, you text me, whatever. Ain't nothing after that. You know what I'm saying? I could be chilling, I could be watching a movie, and I want that time to be solely committed to family, my wife, my children, or whatever the case it may be. So we have to be committed to setting time and make that our standard. Yeah,
make it the standard.
Make it the standard.
Right.
Don't do it just because I want to make sure I'm going to make sure I give about 15 minutes a night. No. The standard, especially as a husband, the standard and as a father should be your children are priority.
Absolutely.
Your household is priority.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I think that begins to tell on whether or not, as a father, whether or not your children are a priority is how they respond to you when you leave.
Absolutely.
When I get ready to leave, my boys after the door like, Daddy, where you going? Like they questioning me like they my daddy. Like, where you going?
Yes.
Where you going?
Yes.
Like, why you getting in the truck? Like, I'm finna go here. And then the next question is, can I go? But because there is an attachment to the activity.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The activity. Whether I'm throwing Joshua up in the air and looking at him just laugh and giggle, or I'm sitting there playing video games with Caleb. There's the activity that's engaged there that gives you, and I want to say that to the fathers that are grinders.
Yes.
As a grinder, grind.
Absolutely.
Listen.
Absolutely.
If you don't grind, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to talk to no lazy dude because you're going to frustrate me. Like, I'm like, dude, what you doing?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So I want you to grind.
Yeah.
But in the process of grinding, understand that when you're there, be there.
Be intentional.
Be intentional with it. Make sure if I'm sitting here with my son, if I'm sitting here with my daughter, like we locked in. We are literally locked in, and we were engaged with each other. We balling with each other.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And we are totally engaged into whatever it is that's going on. So and then it changes by the seasons.
Yes.
It changes by the seasons. So one of the things that I've learned how to do, and this is something that my spiritual father, and I call my father, taught me, is how to navigate the seasons of ministry and life.
Yes.
So one of the things that I try to do now, for example, Caleb gets out of school at 1:30 now. So between 1:30 and about 4 o'clock, it's all me and him.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Whether that's going to Little Caesars and getting the $5 pizza, which are the bomb, by the way, when they hot, boy. I'm telling you, they be busting that. Well, you eat that, and then we go home and watch a movie. I don't care. Like we watch the same movie every day. Okay? And but that for him, that's activity.
Yes,
that's my father is interested in what I got going on.
Yes.
And you have to be intentional with that. So then you change with the seasons and learn how to be intentional in those seasons to get the results of covering your children.
Absolutely.
Because being active is covering your children.
Yes. Yes, and it's necessary.
Yes, it is.
To be active, not just present.
Absolutely.
Be both.
Please.
Be both.
Please.
Not one or the other. Be both. Be present and active.
Absolutely.
Because that's who the Father is to us.
Absolutely.
He's present and he's active.
Yes,
and he's always guiding. He's always willing to lead. He's always willing to direct.
Right.
He's always ready. Like when we make mistakes, you know how many mistakes you don't know how many mistakes I made. I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
But through all of those mistakes, I'm still here, able to even sit here and talk about these things.
Right.
But it's because no matter what I did, he still fathered me.
Absolutely.
Through those mistakes.
Absolutely.
So I take those same principles.
Absolutely.
I take those same things and I apply them to me fathering my children.
Yes, sir.
Be present and active.
Yes, sir.
Not just present and not active.
Yeah.
And like I said, man, kids are going to remember that. Those times when you sit down, and I would do the same thing. When my kids would go to school, that was my grind time. When I had to go pick them up, it's just me and them. And this was when their mother was working at the time. It was me and them. So it's, okay, we're going to go grab a Little Caesar pizza. We're going to go to the park. We're going to eat the pizza at the park. And because that became routine, now they're starting to expect that all the time.
Right.
And that is what you want.
Absolutely.
You want your children to expect moments, memories, things that they can, just take even when they get older and say, man, my dad did this. My dad, we used to go to the park. We used to do these things. You don't want to create a thing where daddy gone again. You know, in the sense of you always gone and you never there.
You're never active.
Never active.
Yeah. You want it to be daddy gone again. Oh man. Because I want to play. I want to get it in. You know what I'm saying?
That's what you want.
Absolutely.
That's what
Absolutely.
You want.
That's good, man. That's good. And so to any father that's out there listening, I just want to speak life into you. I just want to encourage you. Like, listen, there is no blueprint. Like, you just got to seek the wisdom of God.
Yeah.
Pull upon people that have done this thing and try to glean from their wisdom. But the key is don't quit. That's the key of fatherhood. I've committed my life so tenaciously to say I'm not going to quit on my children. And that's my mindset. I'm pretty sure that's my brother's mindset. We're not quitting on our children, okay?
Yes.
All right, any parting words, brother, that you would have for the fathers or anybody that's watching? Especially to those, let's just be honest. In our culture, there are a lot of women that don't have that male figure present. He there, but he ain't there. So, you know, if you want to speak to them, you can speak to them as well.
For the women's in what regard? Women who don't have fathers or women?
Well, the women who have children and they don't have a male present in the house.
I would just encourage them to continue to do what it is that they are doing.
Yeah.
Set a standard.
Yeah.
Set a standard because they want to date.
Absolutely.
They want to interact with new men and things
Absolutely.
like that because the previous relationships didn't work out. But as you begin to date, set a standard because now you have, especially if you with children, you have someone else that may be partaking in that child's life.
Right.
And you don't want that same thing to happen with this new individual that happened with the last.
Absolutely.
So have a standard. And once you set that standard, let that be your standard.
Yes.
Don't fall to anything.
Yes.
Don't submit to anything
Yes.
that's outside of your standard. And
Right.
your standard is not 6'5", dark skin. I ain't talking about that. Not that standard. Not that standard.
You done killed about 30% on right there.
No.
You done killed them.
I ain't talking about gray eyes or hazel eyes and all. No.
Yeah.
Not that standard.
With the glistening beard.
Yeah. Not that standard. Not that standard. Because you already setting yourself up for failure again, and you're setting yourself up for this child to be hurt again.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want to do.
Absolutely.
The standard that you want to set is the standard that a man supposed to have. Everything we just talked about, manhood, fatherhood.
Yeah.
You can take those things and say, man, that's going to be my standard. Someone who's going to be responsible. And it's 2021. We need to stop dating 15 times before we be real. First, second date, you need to be like, look, this is what I want to do. Right. This is my plan. I plan on getting married. I plan on doing this. I plan on doing this. Now, I'm not saying that they got to answer everything right then and there.
Absolutely.
But listen, let's be honest. Let's be real. Let's stop dating for 15 times. In 15 years, we still dating.
That's good.
Like,
man.
Let's be open. This is what I want to do because I'm not wasting time.
Right.
I don't want to waste time. My time is valuable. My child is valuable to me. It's important to me. And I have standards. I have places I want to go.
Yes, sir.
Are we able to build together?
Yes, sir.
If we're not able to build together, then we're not going to sit here and just keep going through this motion just because you want to get,
I ain't going to say nothing about that.
So,
listen.
But hey, we're not gonna, but we need that. But this is what happens.
But this is real conversation, man.
This is what.
This is real conversation. Yes, this is real conversation, and a lot of the times we end up in cycles.
Yes, end up in cycles
that ultimately become depressing and ultimately become the mechanism of defeat for our life. So listen, I am thankful. Let's give it up for the brother, Kirby Love. Thank you so much, brother, for giving us your wisdom and your insight. Listen, this has been a great conversation. It's been an engaging conversation. Please, if you have not already done so, share this. Put it in their inbox, every male that needs to hear this, because we talked about a lot of different topics that you may want to go back and listen to or give this information to another male that is in your life, okay? Remember, this Sunday we are open, but we need for you to RSVP. You can't just show up and say where the party at. The party gonna be lit now, but you can't come in if you didn't RSVP. Right. You gotta RSVP for you to come in. I promise you the engagement of worship is going to be live, as it always is here in Freedom Church of Albany. So I need for you to go ahead and make sure that you RSVP to have your seat. We are open, but you got to make sure that your spot is covered. All of my leaders in my leadership class, I will see you on Saturday morning, bright and early, all right? But until then, peace and blessings unto you. This is DeCarlo Marcus on behalf of Kirby Love. We about to get out of here and get some Chick-fil-A. I'm going to do it anyway. So listen, peace and blessings unto you. Until next time, God bless you.